Hello, Benjamin Timothy Goby here. Today I'm doing another interview with one of our favourite interviewees of the series.
Oh, that's very nice.
Jonathan Hansler.
Thank you.
So Jonathan, how do you feel about the promo that we offered to you today?
I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I think anybody who isn't going to do this or isn't going to take up this offer is an absolute mug. And I'll say that there's a number of reasons for this. Ben and Leo are two absolutely lovely people, first of all. They're incredibly kind. Ben has got so much faith and belief in everything he does. He's a very, very talented young man and a very, very honest people, and I love honesty. But above all, they're very wise. I'm in the studio at the moment with lights all around me. If I want a black backdrop, I've got a black backdrop. If I want a coloured backdrop, I've got a coloured backdrop. And on top of that, I've got an interview, which I can talk about the projects that I'm doing. And that can be out there on YouTube and you can sell yourself. So what are you doing, guys, when you know the price of a photographer in London is around the £350 mark? I mean, doesn't it make sense to take two Leo is a very good photographer. He did my shots last time. I've used those shots. I work a lot. Get your act together, and if you want new shots, don't be a fool. Go with these guys. Seriously.
Thank you.
Sorry to any photographers out there, by the way. But no, I just want to make that absolutely clear. These guys are amazing because they do two things. You get more for your money. Yeah?
Thank you, Jonathan.
Good.
And for any performer or artist that's looking for a bit of recognition or to promote a project or a piece.
Must say that. Ben's also been working with some very well-known names as well. So, there are contacts here who know contacts, people who know people, and that's what this business is about, because believe it or not, we're all energy and we're all connected. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Jonathan. And you can get your name attached to IMDb with 100+ cast members, from stars from the likes of Doctor Who, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, you name it. And
apparently you're going to be interviewing Peter Capaldi soon, aren't you? And
that's the hope.
That's the hope. Well, absolutely. But everything's a hope. Everything's a hope.
Currently debating the strike.
Michael Jaston who was Only Fools and Horses in the episode about the million, when they won the £1 million. All sorts of well-known people have been interviewed by Ben. He's going places. He's got a script in the go at the moment. A young man. He's very, very good. It's a police. It's a bit like Morse kind of thing, but set in Gloucester. Wonderful script. So go with the guy. Seriously. Anyway, enough.
And Jonathan's playing the lead.
Well, that's very kind.
Spoilers. Okay, Jonathan, thank you very much for that. That's very kind of you. Lovely words.
No problem.
Tell me a little bit about what you've been up to since we last spoke.
Oh, God, it's a long time. It's 3.5 years. I moved, perhaps not the best of moves, but, sometimes I believe that we go in places in life because, things... Well, I'm a Buddhist, so you are where you are for a reason. If it's bad, you've got to learn something. We've got to learn things. If you move to the wrong place, you move to the wrong place for a reason. It's the way it is. And as a Buddhist, I believe that. So that's one thing. Well, I think was it 2019? Was it something like that?
It was September 1st, 2020.
God, that's very good. You have got a very good memory.
And then we did an
interview
COVID hit, in March this year for Vodka with Stalin.
Yeah, Vodka with Stalin. Yeah. Of course, Stalin was one of the things I did. What I think I'll do, Ben, is I'll just keep recently. I'll keep this year. I think we'll talk this year. Well, it's been an interesting year. A very interesting year, in fact, because one of the great things I'm very grateful for, and I advise any young actors to do this, is do sketch comedy. Why do I say that? Well, every sketch is about 2 minutes long, okay? So when you do a show, I was in a double act for 9 years. With two people, you get more chance to show your muscles because we were a male-female double act. So obviously I couldn't necessarily do her parts, I did mainly my parts. So I used to play 20 people a night. And when as a character actor or a comedian, when you're doing that, you've got to get on with it. And you've got to make the world laugh at the same time. It's very tricky, and you don't know how the material is going to work. So you've got to trust yourself in 20 different characters. And that helps enormously when you're doing character work. So I do a lot of character work. And well, this year, and I've written it all down in my little black, everything's in black. I don't know what's going on. It's a very black day. Am I serious? Probably. I think black kind of makes you serious, doesn't it? I don't really want to be serious, but anyway, hang on, where are we now? Where have I got this? It's right at the back. I bet it's right at the back. Sorry, I'm not very prepared at the moment. Here we go. Yes. Well, I did a film earlier this year called Bogeyville, which should be out soon, which is a vampire movie. Set in the Deep South, I play a hick who ages from his 30, 40, something like that, to his 60s, late 60s. So it's a real jump between two stools, as they say. And I obviously age in that. And it's got a huge cast in that. So it's set in the Deep South, so I play a southern kind of character in that. Then I did a thing last year called Frankenstein Legacy, which is about Frankenstein, obviously, but I play the villain in that who owns a lunatic asylum. I won't say too much about it, but he's not a very nice piece of work. And then this year I just shot a film called Catching a Thief, where I played a South African, which has been an interesting journey. I watched a lot of South African movies. I even watched Cry Freedom. Interesting. And listen to the accent. And a friend of mine, Sean Botha, thank you, Sean, so much. He recorded my lines as a South African. He is from South Africa. And I listened to those and put those together. But this all comes again from character work. George Sanders once said a good character actor is virtually indestructible. And I think there's a really good case for that. I've also played a French villain, entirely speaking in French, in a Bollywood film called Coke, where I do horrible things with people. I don't know why. I don't know why I play all these villains. Perhaps I'm just a very good villainous sort of person. And there's another film called Liquid, which I'm playing a Scot in. I have to play a Scot all the way through the film. So these are very challenging roles because you've got to maintain the character. It's almost a Peter Sellers life or an Alec Guinness life. They're two of my heroes. So, I would advise young people to do sketch comedy because by doing sketch comedy, you get to play millions of characters and you get good training. If you're asked to play a Scot in a film, you've got to know what you're doing. You can't walk onto a camera and be half Scottish and no one's going to want you in the film. Or you can't walk into the audience that way. You've got to know the accent. You've got to get the accent right. You've got to nail it. So that's really important. So what's coming up? Well, I'm doing something called Bones Bones, where I'm playing a doctor, a therapist. It's a quick horror short at the Old Red Lion as part of their Grimfest season on between the 1st and the 3rd of November. Then I'm doing a cable car scare as a man who's turned into a spider. What else is happening? I've done a film this year where I was a sort of Roger Melly. If you're a fan of Viz Comics, you may not know that, but if you're a fan of Viz Comics, Peter Cook, who's my hero, used to play Roger Melly, the man on the telly, and I play a very, very crass kind of movie producer who's a dickhead, and it's an interesting comedy that's coming soon. Next year, Amicus are coming back from the dead. They were obviously Hammer's rival in the 70s, and if you know Amicus, you'll know films like Dr. Terror's House of Horrors with Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Roy Castle, Herbert Lom. I mean, there's just a list of legends, literal legends who've been with Amicus. And my friend Laurie Brewster, who runs Hex Media up in Scotland, is bringing it back with the blessing of Milton Subotsky's grandson, who started Amicus. So Amicus has got a massive pedigree. So I'm going to be in the first one of their new movies, in this first segment of their new movies coming out in the new, well, we're hoping to shoot that next year. And I'm waiting on an audition, which I can't talk about at the moment, but it's extremely exciting. Anyway, I think I've said so much. This is crazy. Sorry, a bit of an ego trip there, but you've got to publicise yourself, haven't you?
Well, tell me a little bit how you feel about the current acting and writing strike that the industry is facing.
I think AI is very dangerous. I pray that it's only mediocre. I pray that it's only that it's not. I don't think if you're very sharp thinking and you're able to use your brain in incredible ways, I don't think AI will ever catch up. I mean, for God's sake, at the moment, I've been listening to it. It can't even pronounce words. If you listen to some of the words, they can't actually say the words properly. No. It's very poor quality. It's very mediocre. So I think if you've got a great brain, I mean, you can use AI. I think the way that you can use it for scripts and then you can modify it and make it amazing, as John Cleese said, always steal. It's interesting, isn't it? He said, you know, everything's been done, so always steal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about Ripper Untold, which I remember watching last year with my uncle.
Well, you see the problem with Ripper Untold. I love Ripper Untold. You know, I love doing it. I love the people in it. They were all so talented. And Steve Lawson, who pulls out films like you absolutely wouldn't believe. He churns them out. And they're on a low budget, but he writes the scripts. I mean, he's just incredible. He's a one-man band, Steve. And I love Steve. I work with him an awful lot. And you know, these are low-budget movies. And if only we had all these... I think we shot Ripper Untold in 7 days or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, incredibly quick. And he'd turn the scenery around. He'd literally turn a room to a studio. Incredibly quick. So, yes, there wasn't the budget to make amazing... You know, we had to write the script within the bounds that we had the money. And this is the problem, I think, we get with independent filmmaking, when we get people who go, oh, it didn't look very good, this didn't look, oh, yeah, well, they didn't have enough people who were dead in it, and the girls, how much money do you think we've got to do this? You know? We're trying to make a small miracle out, and you know, and he does, and that's what Steve's so good at, and he's going to do very, very well for himself. And
obviously, from what you said there, we've got this strike at the moment about, you know, the pay for writers industry experts. But what a lot of people also don't understand, especially people that write these reviews for independent films, is people don't have big budgets. We don't have the budgets that Hollywood have. We don't have the budgets the BBC have. So that's a challenge that independent filmmakers make. And crowdfunding is good, but crowdfunding doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't always work.
Crowdfunding.
Well, some people are very good at it. I mean, my friend Laurie is currently raising money for Amicus, and he's doing very well at the moment. So, you know, Amicus... I mean, when they come back, it's going to be a bang. I know it's going to be a bang for that, and that'll be amazing. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I don't think this industry has enough support. Really, I don't. And also, I think on the mental health side of the industry, I think that's I don't think there's enough of that either. Because you said in your previous interview in March with Vodka with Stalin about, you know, there being some sort of support for actors for their mental health. Absolutely. I think this is a very anxious industry. You know, we all come in this industry because, you know, we want to be somebody else, which says something about ourselves, doesn't it, in a way? You know, I think the great actors, the great people find themselves, like Hopkins. I mean, Hopkins is wonderful because he sends a message to young people, you know, believe, you know, whatever you do, believe. And I just, you know, I love that. I love the fact he sends messages out to people saying, don't give up, that's the worst thing you can do. Never give up. Keep going. No matter what happens, keep going. And the last thing I'd like to ask you about, Jonathan, obviously the last couple of years we've spoken quite a lot about my script, which is now titled the Festival Scandal for a potential TV series called Fitzwarden Zine, which is about the Gloucestershire Constabulary, and it's based on a murder mystery which is surrounding a betting scandal at the Cheltenham Racecourse. Yes. So obviously, Jonathan, originally when we first spoke, I asked you if you'd be interested in playing the lead. Of course, and I'm a fool not to say yes. And Mark Farrelly to play the DS. And Mark is so talented. Mark is, I mean, he's, Mark Farrelly, what a guy. I love Mark. I saw him in Howard's End, and he's just sublime. And of course, the other chap, what's his name again? Simon Cartwright. A man who can literally morph himself into Bob Monkhouse, Frankie Howard. I mean, he becomes these people. You know, these guys are phenomenal. And I love surrounding myself with talented people, intelligent people, you know, and honest people. Honest people, so important in a world where honesty is rare in our industry. I don't mean that rudely. There are some wonderfully but people are always trying to make a buck here. Remember, we're in a 3D world, right? Yes. Now, there's a world of consciousness and there's a world of honesty, and when you start to raise your vibration, you'll find good things will happen to you. But stick in this 3D world on a level of greed, you're never going to get anywhere. I'm a Buddhist, and I'm probably not brilliant at that myself. You know, I think we all want to be a bit greedy in life, but really it's not all about that. It's not about materialism. This world isn't about that. It's about raising your vibration. It's being happy and giving other people happiness and making people feel happy, even if you're not feeling happy. You've got to smile when the world is throwing acid in your face. And it's a tough world. No one said it wouldn't be. But keep going.
Thank you. And just what I wanted to ask, Jonathan, was, well, we've obviously looked at the script together last month. We sat down, we went over it.
Yes.
And we're now in the stage of where it's currently being proofread by a friend of mine, David, and it's being soon sent off to be commissioned.
I
and
can't
we've got
wait.
to hope for the best.
I think it's a great script, and I think for a young man like you to pull something like this together, I wrote Pete and Dad, which I'm, again, Goodbye may have a reading next year about Peter Cook and bringing Peter Cook back, Dudley Moore and Frankie Howard and Tony, all those people back to life again. I think will be wonderful. But and sorry, I'm sidetracking.
That's okay.
Just give me that point again. Sorry, my brain.
So where I was going was I wanted to ask, when we get to the stage of where it's been proofread and we know if it's going to be commissioned, either it's going to be commissioned by the BBC or ITV, because that's the hope.
Yes.
Or we go down the indie route and we get it crowdfunded or funded.
Get Netflix maybe.
Or potentially Netflix.
Yeah.
Either way, whatever happens.
You can always do a pitch as well. You can always pitch it.
Yeah.
Rain dance, that sort of thing. That's another way of doing it.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to the most if it happens and you and Mark are playing the leads?
Yeah. What am I looking for? I love this. I love developing the character, but I also love the idea of being in a different area. I don't know Cheltenham well. You know, my uncle lives near Stroud, but I haven't seen them for years. So I'm not akin to that area. But I love the idea of a fresh place to work and working on characterizations. And Mark would be a wonderful man because he does so well in a sort of double act way. When you look at his, at Howard's End, it's two people, and he has this wonderful way of working in that situation, and I know that we'll have a wonderful, what's the word? Chemistry. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time today, Jonathan.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you so much.